Thank you, and very excited to be here. Speaking of communities, we met through the Open Assembly community, right? So, I think that's going to be the general theme here, especially when we start talking about open talent, is access to communities, participating as part of communities, of course, the networking that we all can have and see and experience as part of communities. So, hello, as I said, excited to be here, and thank you for attending the Freelance Business Conference. I'm excited to be here to talk today about open talent as a strategy. So I think in the context of a freelancer, majority of the time I talk about open talent, and I'm going to throw a bunch of other words out there around open talent in the context of talking with customers and large businesses on how to access open talent. But today it's going to be more in the context of you as a freelancer, or as a freelancer, starting your business, how to be thinking about open talent and what is open talent. Adam Morehead, I've been with Topcoder for 16 years in various roles. I currently am Vice President of Community and Marketing. Marketing is more the new thing. I definitely like to focus in on community, because that is at Topcoder what we really like to associate and explain, and like all of our members to realize, like, yeah, we are a giant community. My background is I'm a graphic designer by education. So UI UX designer who knows how to code and code what I design. And 20 years ago, I had my own freelance business as a design business focused on building websites for small businesses. I love Django, Python. So I'm at my core, I'm a UX designer who loves to develop what I design. Topcoder was a customer of mine at that time, and in 2005, Topcoder asked me to join their team, but to rethink how we access design talent through a community and a crowdsourcing model. And as you can imagine, trying to create a design community inside a company called Topcoder is not necessarily the easiest thing, because most people coming to Topcoder are definitely going to be developers or coders, right? It's in the name, right? So, and this was before we actually called things crowdsourcing. So crowdsourcing didn't come about until 2007. So, this was all about just how does the internet, how can we find, great talent around the world? In some ways, Maxine, this is kind of similar to what you're doing with the Pick My Brain. So this was back in 2005, and then Topcoder was actually founded in 2001. So since my start at Topcoder, I've been focused on creating opportunities for designers, developers, data scientists, QA specialists, competitive programmers, information architects, project managers, with a community model, and really explaining this to very large corporations. The idea of open innovation, on-demand talent, and the gig economy. And now this has evolved into open talent, or the open talent economy, okay? So I've been living, building, and innovating in this space for the past 16 years. If you're not aware of Topcoder, obviously we're sponsoring, but please do check us out. We are a community-first company. As I said, founded in 2001 on a simple mission to find the best developers around the world through competition and the internet. So we're very well known for competitive programming, but also we deliver software through a combination of coding competitions, tasks, and freelancing. The idea of competition, passion for the work, and of course, the ability to get a rating, build your profile to show technical ability beyond your resume. And here we are today. So the future, this may be a little corny, but I can't get it out of my head when I start thinking about how we're going to plan and do all these things. And especially when we start talking about how fast we're moving pre-COVID, and now, as we're hopefully getting out of COVID, science fiction films and television shows are packed with examples of crazy futuristic technology. When I think about the future of work, freelancing, and open talent, I think about Star Trek and how they work to configure, manage, and run the software in the Starship Enterprise, and the future of interfaces, because that's obviously my background, future of technologies, and all the talented people needed to make it possible. and the access to this talent. So all of you as freelancers, companies right now are looking for your talent and looking for, what are the skills that you have. So the ability to connect similar interests, create transparency in the work, the effort, and provide essentially delivery and talent on demand. So I start to ask myself, where are these things? Where are these systems built? Were they agile dev teams sequestered away in Starfleet's IT department, or were they distributed resources around the globe like we're experiencing right now, or around the galaxy with the ability to tackle technology and issues on demand? I like to think that where we're headed with open talent is the model they were using. So globalization, mobile technologies, education, social and analytics, data, this is all changing how we work. So when was the first time you heard gig economy or passion economy or even talent ecosystem, right? I mean, who really says that? I'm going to make the assumption all of us here being part of the Freelancer conference, you're familiar with freelancing and probably gig economy, but not the others. These are terms I typically have used with large companies in the last 16 years to really get them to understand how to understand a community like Topcoder. My ongoing journey to really create a mental shift with large corporations to embrace freelance talent. So the language of work has been changing, and even more so due to COVID. Long-standing terms like job and employee are shifting. Newer concepts like crowdsourcing and gig economy are being applied widely, have spurred other terms to define the space as on-demand talent, independent workers, open talent. So as we have been running ads at Topcoder to attract new members, the most popular term is still freelancer, although many of you may categorize yourselves in other areas like independent contractor or in the US, 1099ers. Open talent is the digital extension of outsourcing. So it refers to the crowd of global talent, all of you, available outside of companies' internal hires. Hundreds of companies and platforms make up this large ecosystem. And so I think you heard of the Pick My Brain platform, the Topcoder platform. Obviously out there, we have all the other platforms, the Upworks, the TopTels, the Fivers, the list and the ecosystem is huge at this point. The goal here, though, is companies are tapping into these types of platforms really to find ideas at scale, tap into expertise, and really augment staffing as needed. So why does any of this matter to you? As the new entrepreneurs, software developers, consultants, designers, analysts, researchers, product designers looking for customers, but also looking for top talent to help you with your projects, to help you deliver for your customers. So what is your strategy when you start thinking about open talent? What's going to be your strategy around as a freelancer and as a business owner? So the regular way of working has been changing globally for a while. And I think obviously we're all feeling this, especially being virtual right this minute. And I'm not really sure what is considered normal anymore. I'm pretty much going to stop using that term. What is normal, right? But many of us started this years ago. Do you remember the first time you posted your resume, created a new profile, worried about all the details on your LinkedIn? Or on the flip side, when you hired someone or service online? So I remember I was hired and found on one of my first technology jobs through a website called techies.com. And this was back in 1999. So I put myself out there, I posted my resume, and I got my first real consulting job. I got to travel to New York and live there for a year doing UI. At the time, it wasn't even UI UX, it was just do graphic design for websites, right? And that really kind of started my career in this space. And then I joined the Topcoder community in 2002 because they were a customer of mine. So essentially, I was a subcontractor to the contractor. Open talent platforms or talent communities have been around for a very long time. Topcoder was founded in 2001. as I mentioned earlier. And over the past 20 years, we've had a lot of interest and curiosity on how crowdsourcing and open talent can help create a more innovative model. But it's only recent years that many companies have shown interest and fully recognized the advantage of tapping into skill, speed, and scalability offered by platforms and communities. So back to my Star Trek example, the relationship between the systems and who is doing the work behind the scenes, an interconnected network of talent, as we all see with the use of GitHub and GitLab, Slack, who are assigned the work on their abilities, domain rating, reliability, and reputations. So who's going to help create this talent pool? So this is where platforms and communities come into play. So as freelancers, how do you get involved in these kinds of opportunities? How do you understand your skill and ability to package yourself to be able to access this type of these types of customers? So as we know, talent and employers are now seeking each other out on more equal terms from anywhere in the world. So this creates a mixture of full-time employees and contractors and freelancers. And in my world of crowdsourcing, people with no formal ties to the actual business. So this can be scary, but it's also very exciting for companies because they're looking for that different thought, a different approach to solving the problems that they have. So all of us move more freely from role to role and even across organization and geographical boundaries. So over the years, the open talent model has evolved. As a platform, we just looked for the best of the best to be determined through competition, but customers were looking for individuals. So when a customer comes to Topcoder, they're typically saying, I'm looking for someone or a type of role to be filled. Can I work with that person? Okay. So historically, it's been looking for someone with an expansive technical background, someone who knows a domain, but also is a designer and is a developer and is a thought leader. And so really the unicorn, right? And I think all of us are always looking for this unicorn. Then we started breaking things down and really focusing on roles and definitions of those roles and titles within titles within titles. So information architect, UI designer, UX designer, front-end developer, back-end developer, full stack developer, mobile developer, game developer, DevOps developer, web developer. And especially in my field of design, I found it was very interesting how we went from graphic designer and now it's broken down into 10 different roles, right? So this hyper specialization and atomization of work really helps focus on the requirements and the quality. And this actually is why communities and platforms work, because of this type of hyper specialization. We see this with agile methodologies, and it's really, the reason for the success, to be able to focus in on what you're actually good at, but also focus in on individuals who want to do the work and want to do certain things, either upskill or reskill into very specific areas. So in the current phase, I see a lot of requests for roles, but now it's based on skill. So now we're really looking for React developers, Java developers, Angular developers. It's very skill-based requests. And I think a lot of this is tied to the lack of those skills, but also the speed of technology. So the speed of technology is like how fast we need to build an Angular website. We now need to do everything in React, and those skills are not readily available. So again, how does this matter to you as a freelancer and as a freelance business owner? So the shift is real. I've been part of this for, as I said, a very long time, but over the last couple of years and really since COVID, it's the speed of the shift is amazing. Large enterprises, small businesses are all flocking to talent communities to find highly skilled individuals, all of you freelancers. So as part of this, the companies still have, the biggest roadblock is they still have a lot of concerns around the quality of on-demand talent. So again, as part of being on these platforms, what is your profile? What is your background? Is it beyond a LinkedIn? Is it your 3D resume, right? we have all these amazing successful stories around how open talent and crowdsourcing and communities can do amazing things. At Topcoder, we have amazing work we've done with NASA, and we've helped with cancer detection, and we have all these amazing kind of moonshot things that communities have helped solve. But again, the idea of inviting strangers in to see sensitive data, proprietary technology, and intellectual property is the thing slowing down essentially access or the speed and concerns around open talent. So this gives platforms that recognize this concern the advantage. So platforms that recognize this are actively serving a valuable HR role for very large companies, screening, sorting, curating talent pools with specialized skills on behalf of their customers. We also see a growing number of talent communities and platforms recruiting talent from specific segments outside of the traditional workforce, such as the military and veterans and parents. So this shift is something all freelancers, I recommend all of you, should be aware of and participating in. Now, the issue with this is also going to be, I'll talk about this in a minute, but your profiles and how many different platforms do you really want to be on, and do I have to have 20 different profiles, and how do you manage these kinds of things? So I'd like to share a few examples, though, in the context of technology and developers. These are massive steps that I've seen here in 2021. Now, if you were able to think about creating a team to deliver on a project, so you as an individual, or you working with other freelancers that you either just met as part of a project, a community, or the remote team that you happen to be putting together to help your customer. So this is, again, back to my Star Trek example, the distributed team that's able to quickly configure what is needed that week, day, or hour. So technology now provides transparency. You or a platform can help spell out the work and effort, and then the capacity can be understood and delivered on. So I'm going to assume many of you, when you think about freelance, it's more, probably the initial mental thought is more of a one-to-one relationship. And when you think of a project, you might be the person who owns the project or your contributor filling a need on your customer's team. But what if everyone on the team was a freelancer? So in these examples, these are customers that we work with at Topcoder. We have essentially this agile team. We have a healthcare insurance provider who wanted to ensure crowd work wasn't seen as an exception to working to the way they were working and happening in a silo, but rather being part of how they get work done. So they introduced this idea of friction-free crowdsourcing within their Azure DevOps model, okay? So this idea was a crowdsourcing or open talent team was just like any other agile team of theirs. It's just they put work to one team, they put work to the other team. This team just happens to be open talent and all freelancers, but they're treated the exact same way as anyone else in their DevOps team. So what was really cool about this is the ability to say that the open talent distributed team could be anyone around the world. Those tasks are being signed, those developers are working on those things and working as a group to deliver based on the story points and based on the agile methodology that healthcare provider was working towards. This idea of a sprint team. So we have a telecommunications company working on doing a rapid digital transformation from within B2C and B2B, and they were looking for a quick ramp into different skills. So they needed React developers, Angular developers, Salesforce developers. And they started with a few freelancers. And from there, they realized that the freelancers were doing an amazing job in the effort they were putting in. And so they decided to pool them together and put them into a pool that they call a sprint freelancer pool. So we're having those freelancers work together globally. And since the talent had already been screened and their skills had been vetted, they were able to get in and get the kind of technical clearance that they needed. So right now they have 4 different sprint teams of 20 freelancers on each team. So again, this idea of open talent helping each other, but also helping this customer understand how to deliver within these sprint cycles. And then a hybrid team. We have another customer, a large global bank that's they're redoing all of their banking technology. Everything's going to be digital. And they embraced a hybrid team of freelancers, crowdsourcing competitions, and micro tasks. So this idea that, yes, there are people that are managing this, but certain portion of the work is managed by the freelancers. Small things are essentially put out like micro tasks. So if you can think of something like Mechanical Turk, and then other pieces of it is actually put out as competitions. And this way it speeds up their ability to get work done. So kind of putting it in context where it relates to technology and developers. So here's a handful of brands that are solving tech challenges. These are brands that we've been working with over, I would say, the last 4 or 5 years. Obviously 20 years of logos. I would have a lot of different brands, but the idea is like these companies, potential customers of yours, are out there really looking to access talent. And as a freelancer, the ability for you to package yourself and put yourself into a platform of your choice or different platforms and be able to have access to these types of customers, I think is amazing, and really probably one of the misunderstood things about being part of a community is that it's not always just about the immediate work, but it's about your reputation and the amount of work that you could get out of many of these companies and the brands associated with it. So bringing it all together, as a freelancer, at your core, I feel like as a freelancer, I was very highly motivated. Obviously, I'm employed with a company at this time, but the community at Topcoder, or any really open talent community that I've experienced, freelancers are highly self-motivated, who proactively seek out opportunities. I like to call our community members doers. It's amazing the amount of effort they're willing to put in, do things, but they also get the rewards that come with that. Freelancers are very excited about the work that you do, and you've made a decision to get out on your own, right? I mean, that's a scary thing in itself, right? I mean, I remember when I started my business, it was that day when you say, okay, I'm going to go do this, right? It's freedom, but it's scary taking that leap, right? So, and many of you may have also reskilled or upskilled to start your freelancing business. So, people with the right attitude, bringing invaluable knowledge and to this overall process. And I always like to think that they tend to be much more closer to the products, processes, and really, really care about customers. And the key thing here is honestly going to be that, right? How we handle and manage our customers. Last week, I met with an India technology company that the two founders actually started out on Odesk, finding customers and building their reputation, providing incredible customer service. And now they're a multi-million-dollar company, doing a wide range of technology services. So, it's like those are the kinds of stories that I'm just like, yeah, like this is where communities and platforms can help anyone get started. So as a freelancer, I recommend definitely join a community, find a community that you're intrigued by, you relate with, create those relationships, build those networks. Digital profile, so the ability to showcase your skills, package yourself, access to brands and companies looking for freelance talent. So I think the thing that is typically misunderstood is the access to the brands. By being on these platforms and exposing your skills, the opportunities are immense. And then as a freelance business, if you just think of you possibly looking for yourself and looking for freelancers, the ability to have access to a wider network of experts and scale up or scale down based on the projects that you have, and overall reduce development time. So when you think about what's next, portable profiles is a big concept out there related to blockchain. Like if you create a profile on one platform, why can't you take it with you? These are definitely things I think that are going to be coming, but it's again, let's just destroy the resume and let's get out there and have a real digital profile and understand that we can take this with us, and it's going to be something that you can help control yourself and also manage your own reputation. So you happen to get 2 stars instead of 4 stars, but now the ability to fix that reputation, or even to understand why you got 2 stars, right? So transparency in why the reputation matters. This is where we get into portable profiles. DAOs, so decentralized autonomous organizations, like there are communities starting right now, competitors to Topcoder, that are doing great things with DAOs. Just this idea of being part of, you being the owner and being a manager of your community and reaping the benefits of that. Future reward systems and benefits. A big thing that we talk about right now is, as freelancers in our community, how can we help provide benefits? How can we help support you stay a freelancer? And then, of course, community. I think communities are just going to continue to grow and evolve. And I think as human beings, we definitely are driven towards making these types of connections and networking. And then overall communication. If there's any advice I can give everyone, communication is the biggest key when working as a freelancer, working with platforms and communities, and working with your customers. All this incredible technology around us, email is just not enough. There's many ways to communicate now. So, at Topcoder, we've gone from Messenger, forums, Jira, to chat, Slack, GitHub, video conferencing. It's just super critical that you realize that it's best to get in front of your customer, talk to them, relate to them, and just not do everything through email. And realize that the rules of engagement have changed. So remote work is efficient and satisfying when we're all communicating, but it's also a great way to start to blame and push things out if that communication isn't there, because we are remote. Okay, so if anything, because we are working remote, we need to communicate even more. So set work hours, make sure you're clear what your availability is, never assume anything, ask as many questions as possible. And I think overall the communication is going to be the biggest thing here. So thank you for your time today. If anybody has any questions, I might have gone a little long there. So I definitely appreciate the Freelancer Conference, and appreciate all of you being here. And I hope this was helpful, and a little bit more about open talent now.